In this nitty-gritty basics Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg at Mahjong Time. Mahjong Time is a great platform. There are others, but this is my favorite place to play. If you haven't tried it yet, look for my email in the video description below, and I can send you some information about their VIP trial. One of the reasons why I like it is because they have Mahjong School, where you can play 24/7 free of charge and play against robots. Also, I've been told that right now the robots are not smart intentionally, but they are going to be adding the ability to increase the intelligence of robots or play against robots with greater intelligence so that you can play with smarter and smarter robots to help test your instincts and decision making as if you're playing with live players. So I look forward to that, and I'll be making an announcement about that when it goes live. Thank you so much for coming to the live stream. I want to say thank you to all of our moderators who've stepped up to help moderate chat while we do this Let's Play live stream. I hope you enjoyed the topic. Let's make sure that we are live on YouTube. Bear with me as I check.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, that was a commercial. I think we're looking good here. Let's get through this commercial and then I can get into our topic. We're going to talk about 3 ways to gain advantage during the Charleston, but really another way to think of it is 3 ways to simplify the game. When I share these techniques, consider that they will simplify decision making if you choose to use these techniques. I know that sometimes when people who are new to the game, whether you're brand new or you consider yourself to be an intermediate player, when you first get your dealt hand, it's a little overwhelming to try to figure out what to focus on. Where do I start? These techniques will simplify that process. But you've got to adopt the concepts in order to make it work for you. So I hope you enjoy this short presentation. And then, of course, we're going to go play at Mahjong Time. We're going to do some what I call random pulls and Charleston modeling using the techniques. And then maybe we'll play a full game, a few full games with robots, or maybe even play against live players. Hi, Susan. Hi, June. Welcome, Shirley. Thank you for coming. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. I think I'll go ahead and open Mahjong Time too so that we can hit the ground running when we get there. So let me do that, and then I'll get the presentation going. And it's a shorty, but a goodie. The title of this presentation is 3 ways to gain an advantage during the Charleston. I'm thinking about, I think it's a good title, but I also think that the content is good for simplifying decision making. So I might rework it. So I hope you enjoy it. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Oh, thank you very much. I see Snyder Friedman family. I don't know what your first name is, but thank you very much for the comment there. That's encouraging. Hi, Jingles. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing that we should talk about is the purpose of the Charleston. The purpose of the Charleston is to improve your dealt hand. Each player has the potential to quickly improve their hand if they make the right decisions at the right time, because you're going to be getting 21 tiles, up to 21 tiles. Most likely, you know that on the first left and last right, you can pass blind. So you might not get all 21 tiles, and that also includes the optional across, where you can negotiate up to 3 tiles. So it's up to 21 tiles, but those 21 tiles can really improve your dealt hand if you make the right decisions at the right time. And that's where you're going to be able to hopefully gain an advantage at the table by making those smart decisions. And we're going to talk about some guidelines at the end. Welcome, Patricia. Thank you. Karen, welcome. Okay, so if you think about the purpose of the Charleston being expediting the development of your hand, that's why it's there. Technically, the game doesn't start until East discards their first tile. So up until that point, this is kind of like the pre-game. It's the pre-show, the pre-game, where you try to improve your dealt hand, which more times than not is kind of haphazard, chaotic. Some people describe it. But again, if you use these techniques that I'm going to share, it's going to simplify how to get started and where to build, where to start the development process of your hand. Yep, this will help with the new card for sure. Okay, so anybody have any questions about why we do the Charleston? It's fun in games, but there's also a purpose. If you make the right decisions at the right time, you can exponentially improve your dealt hand. Okay, next. When you're looking at your dealt hand, consider that there's a process of hand development, and it's going to be in 4 stages. 4 stages. It's really 3 stages with an add-on, but let's just say 4 stages. The first stage is when you target the strength of your hand. That's the first thing that you need to think about. Where is the strength of my hand? So you're going to target the strength of the hand, and we're going to talk about that in detail. Each one of these stages we're going to dig in. So you're going to target the strength of the hand, and then you're going to gather tiles to support the strength of your hand and choose a category that uses most of your tiles. Target and then gather. Eventually, you're going to be able to build. And this typically happens when you have enough tiles to where you can look at the hand level and pick a hand so that you can build your multiples, because American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples, and we're going to talk about that too. So the 3 stages are target, gather, build. You also need to defend, and this happens throughout the game because you need to think about defense during the Charleston, and then once the pick and discard phase of the game starts, you're going to think defensively as well. But your primary focus is building your hand, because you want to be the first person to have a completed hand. So all along the way, you want to be able to defend as best you can. So while you're going through these stages, you need to analyze the situation, whether you're playing during the Charleston or whether you are in the begin game, middle game, or end game. You're going to analyze the situation, identify any alternatives, consider the choices, and then you're going to decide. So those are the thought processes that you're going to go through these stages of the game. Analyze the situation, identify alternatives, consider the choices, and then decide. Sometimes you're going to have to start over. And typically this happens after the Charleston, when you get into picking and discarding and people are throwing your tiles or people are making exposures with the tiles you hope to get. You might have to reassess completely. And when that happens, you're going to target the strength of the hand and then gather and build. So sometimes there's a recycle process, and all you have to do is just take a breath, target the strength of the hand, reassess, gather tiles to support the strength of the hand, and play a category that uses most of your tiles. But at that point, you're going to have more information, which is where you identify alternatives. You kind of look at all the tiles that are out on the table, if you're after the Charleston, of course, look at all the discards and exposures. Then you're going to think, okay, what can I do with these tiles? Consider the choices and then make a decision and move forward. So sometimes you do have to restart the stages of hand development and go back to target, reassess. You have trouble with the deciding phase. The whole process is deciding. Can you be more specific, Shirley? And I welcome comments like this. So if you have questions or comments or pain points, please put them in chat and we can talk about it. So Shirley, please say what you mean when you maybe rephrase that. You really have trouble with the deciding phase. What do you mean the deciding phase? Like what to do when you're at a decision point? If that is it, please confirm, because I have the solution for you. What do you do when you get to the point when you have to decide? Is that what you're saying? When between two choices, two hands. Oh, okay. Okay, excellent. For some reason, oh, there we go. I see there's a little bit of a delay. Okay, so when you're between two choices. Okay, excellent. We're going to talk about that actually as we go. So the decision point, excellent. The process is you analyze the situation. So during the Charleston, you're going to be thinking about the tiles that have been passed or the tiles that have not been passed. For example, let's say you want dragons and they're not coming around. That means people are keeping them. Maybe consider playing something that doesn't use dragons. So that's one little example. And then also you identify the alternatives, and that will help you make a decision as well. You consider those choices based on your alternatives and the information that you see, and then you make a choice. And we'll talk more about it and look at some examples. So hopefully it will help. So here's the first technique. The first technique is to optimize. And the way that you optimize with American Mah Jongg is by targeting multiples. Multiples are pairs, pungs, kongs. Pairs, pungs, and kongs. Those are multiples. And I'm going to explain why that is a fact. If you target multiples, you're going to optimize your hand development. So when you first get your dealt hand, if you have a multiple in there, that is where you start. There's really no decision to be made because that's your starting point. That's like square one. If you're getting ready to step onto the yellow brick road, that is the first yellow brick. You're going to optimize by targeting multiples. So here we have an example of pairs, 3, 5, and 1. So you would look at the rest of your tiles and decide what category you could focus on using most of your tiles. We could do little odds, for example, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles. And on the 2023 card, you might even be able to use that white dragon. So there's 8 tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles that we could potentially use for little odds. Hi, Bonnie. No worries. Packing for Italy? Wow, that's cool. Enjoy your trip. Okay, so you could play little odds, and that would use most of your tiles. That would be a great choice, but you could also maybe do consecutive run. Either way, you can target the multiples, and that would be optimizing the hand development. That's technique 1. The next one is to maximize. And this is where you would use most of your tiles. And this is a great technique to start with if you have no multiples. Like in this hand here, we have no multiples. We have a flower, a white dragon, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 in dots, 1 bam, 3 bam, 9 bam, and a 3, 6 in cracks. We have no multiples, but we have mostly 3, 6, 9. In 3, 6, 9, we probably could keep, well, definitely the flower, maybe the white dragon, but let's say we would keep those 2. and then 3, 6, 9s. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tiles. You could play consecutive run here as well, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6, but it would use fewer tiles. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, it wouldn't. Well, here's the thing about consecutive run. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Let's table that. We'll talk more about consecutive run because there are some concepts that will help determine whether or not that's a good category to play and what tiles you would keep, because it's not just all of them. You can't keep everything. So I think to maximize, you could play 3, 6, 9, but again, you could maybe play 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll talk a little bit more about why it's only 3 or 4 numbers in a range. It's actually 4 and 5 numbers in a range this year because of the choices. And we'll talk about that again in a minute. So here's why those techniques are factually important when playing American Mah Jongg specifically. American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples. If you look at the first bar, 84% of the hands on the card use big multiples. Big multiples are pungs and kongs and quints, if you consider that category. 84%. If you look at the third bar from the left, pairs are in 61%. Together, that's 91%. So if you look at the card overall, there are pairs, pungs, kongs all over the card. That's what every hand has. Every hand has some number of pairs, pungs, and kongs. So if you target them, you're going to get a head start on gathering tiles to support strength, because eventually you're going to have those multiples. So target multiples. Let's see. So the other thing that I want to point out is the difference between mixed suits and one suit, because that does matter. Some people have a tendency to want to gather one suit, but there are way more options with mixed suits. 69% of the hands on the card use mixed suits. So while you're gathering, keep every number tile regardless of the suit. And then when you run out of discards, that's when you can look at the hand level and decide, do I want to play a mixed suit hand or a one suit hand? Until that point, gather every number you can use to support the strength of your hand. Okay, let's see. The other thing, really that's about it as far as these attributes that we're going to talk about today. Big multiples, little multiples, which would be pairs, mixed suits, one suit. Basically, you want to gather tiles in any suit that support the strength of the hand. And then choose a category to play that uses most of your tiles. That would be optimizing and maximizing. Optimize, maximize. Sometimes you don't have multiples, so you maximize. You go with the predominant pattern and you play a category that uses most of your tiles. And then when a multiple forms, you reassess and then build around the multiple. Gather tiles again. And once you have all those tiles, you run out of discards, then you build. Okay, so let's now talk about these concepts here. So because kind of in summary, most of the hands have pairs, pungs, and kongs. So build around them to optimize your hand. You want to optimize the development of the hand by targeting the multiples. And then if you don't have multiples, you're going to maximize by gathering tiles with the predominant pattern. You're going to play a category that uses most of your tiles. When a multiple forms, reassess and build around the multiple. So that's the summary of optimizing and maximizing. So here's another technique, streamlining. And this is focused on consecutive run, because with consecutive run, you have 9 tiles in a sequence and you have 3 suits. 3 suits, and 9 tiles in a sequence. Most of the hands on the card have consecutive run options in them. If you consider the consecutive run category compared to the odd category, it looks like there are more odds, but outside the category, there are more consecutive run hands. And it's a great way to streamline because of the sheer number of options that you have. And it is the most flexible category because you can go up or down a 9 tile range. And we're going to talk more about that range in a minute because that range will sort of go up or down in the number of tiles depending on whether or not you're playing a 1 suit hand or a mixed suit hand. So here's a comparison of the number of hands in categories. Odds has the most, then consecutive run, followed by Winds and Dragons, same number, and then 3, 6, 9, and finally evens. So odds, consecutive run, Winds and Dragons with specific tiles, Winds, Dragons, and some consecutive tiles, and then evens, and then smaller number of hands in the other categories. With the year and addition, a lot of evens are used. And then with quints, we have consecutive run, like numbers. There's only 2 hands, but there are like numbers all over the card. The point here is that with consecutive run, because there are options for consecutive run throughout the card, that has more options than odds. And that's why you can streamline if you're having a difficult time figuring out what to do. If, for example, you're considering playing either 3, 6, 9 or consecutive run, maybe you have 3, 4, 6, 9, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, let's say, you might consider playing consecutive run because of the sheer number of options versus 3, 6, 9 having specific numbers with a wide gap between those numbers. So it is something to consider because of that flexibility with the 9 tile range and also just the sheer number of options. So the bottom line here is if you're in between categories and one of them is consecutive run, choose consecutive run because of that flexibility and the number of options. Okay, so now here's how you power up. You combine them. Optimize and maximize and streamline. Sometimes you're not going to want to streamline because consecutive run won't work for every hand. But if you use 2 or more of these techniques, you're going to power up your plan. The hand development will go much quicker if you combine techniques. So for example, you can optimize and streamline, target the multiple and play consecutive run. Or let's say that you don't have multiples yet and most of your tiles are odds, you would maximize. But let's say you get filler tiles, you could maximize and streamline by playing consecutive run other than odds if it uses most of your tiles. Choose that consecutive run category, maximize and streamline. So the idea is that if you use multiple techniques, optimize, maximize, and streamline, you're going to have a very quick hand development process. And it also simplifies the process too. Just think about it. Optimize would be targeting the multiple, and then maximizing would be building around your predominant pattern, and then streamlining would be focusing on consecutive run. So it really does simplify, I think, the decision-making process. Look at your dealt hand. If you don't have multiples, maximize. If you have multiples, optimize. Gather most of your tiles so you can optimize and maximize. And if you're in between categories and consecutive run is one of them, streamline. Okay, so that is how you would use these techniques based on facts when you consider those statistics that we looked at, this works. This is a formula that works. Now, whether or not you win is another thing, because you're playing against other people who have skills at varying levels. But if they also make the right decisions at the right time and they play defensively, then you might get blocked. So this is not a guarantee that you're going to win, but you're going to have an advantage if you know how to use these techniques and stack them. So after the Charleston, if you have more than 4 discards, you're going to have to work hard to build your hand. You got to build it out, and it's going to take you a little while. If you have more than 4 discards, I would say you're an underdog for that game. If you have 4 discards after the Charleston, you could be a contender for that game. And if you have less than 4 discards, you would be a front runner for that game and could potentially win, and win quickly with only 3 discards. Some of the things that you have to consider are the discards when you have a category that you're focused on. So you're still at the category level. It might take a little longer to fully develop the hand. But if you know what hand you're playing and you have no gaps after the Charleston and you have 3 discards or less, 3 discards maybe, you're going to be a front runner. You could probably win that game with that few number of discards, and you already know what hand you're playing and you have no gaps. Hopefully we'll have some examples of this and we'll be able to prove it when we play at Mahjong Time. I just want to remind you that I do have a wiki on my website, MAHJLIFE, MAHJLIFE. If you go there, you can find all kinds of answers to any questions you might have, whether it be rules or strategy. Please check it out. And also know that obviously I'm on YouTube because that's where we are now. Check out my website. And also I'm on Facebook. So if you use social media, please follow me on Facebook. And while you're on my website, by the way, if you're not subscribed to my newsletter or my email list, it's not really a newsletter. I just send emails on occasion when things come up. Please sign up for my mailing list. So I'll send announcements and things like that anytime I make changes to the website or change in the schedule, or maybe a new offering as far as content on my YouTube channel or events where I'm going to be speaking, whether it be virtually or in person. Okay, so that's going to do it. We're going to go play some Mahjong now. Does anybody have any questions about the techniques? The techniques and the stages. So first, just to recap, the stages are target, gather, build, defend. You're going to defend all along the way in different ways, and hopefully we'll be able to talk through those ways. So target, gather, build, defend, and you're going to focus on your dealt hand. You're going to optimize by targeting multiples. If you don't have multiples, you're going to maximize by looking for the predominant pattern and picking a category that uses most of your tiles. When a multiple forms, you're going to target the multiple, gather tiles to support it, and play a category that uses most of your tiles. That would be the reassessment process. Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Let's go ahead and share the screen at Mahjong Time, and we'll get started with some gameplay. Okay, we're going to go to Mahjong School. We're going to start at Mahjong School. We're going to play against robots that are not smart, but they do make exposures and they do take jokers. They can win, but not very often. So the whole idea about playing here is to practice decision making for the tiles you see. So just because they're not smart doesn't mean there's no value in practicing here. So keep that in mind. I'm going to close this sidebar here. Okay, so we have jokers. Clearly, we want to use those. And then we have a flower. We have 7 bam, 2, 5, 7 in cracks, an 8 dot, a red dragon, Then we have north and west pairs. So with these tiles, what would you do? What would you target? And what category would you focus on? Think about it for a minute. If you're brave enough, write it in the comment section or in chat what you would do with these tiles. If these were my tiles, I would play wins, target the multiples. Yes, we have gaps, but that's okay. We might be able to do something with north and west. We do have some consecutive tiles with 7 and 8. And we do have a dragon that's used in the category. So this would be maximizing and optimizing because we're targeting multiples and we're keeping most of our tiles. We might be able to use the 7 and the 8 here, maybe even the 5. That would give us really just 2 discards, the flower and the 2. But that's not going to work. I would not pass that. You want to always think about defense because we're going to be passing to our opponents. So we wouldn't want to pass them a 2 and a flower. That would be terrible. Wins or quints with like numbers. Quints with like numbers with all those with all the jokers, that might work. If we were to play quints, that would be picking a hand right from the beginning. And it is a little bit risky, but that would free up tiles to discard. So for example, we could maybe play the first quint with an option in our wins and pass 2, 5, 8. We could do that. Another thing that we could do is let the dragon go and keep the 8, because maybe we could play news concealed 7, 8 with wins and then later let maybe the west go. We could even play, for example, east and west or north and south with a run, maybe, if we get the right tiles. That's a long shot, I think. So we could still maybe play that quint, which would be picking a hand from the beginning. That would be playing a fixed style of play, which is good, but it's not ideal. Or we could maybe let the dragon go and keep the 8 to think about playing maybe that second or that concealed hand under wins and dragons. But definitely wins is the category to play here. Okay, so we're going to exit and we're going to do it again. And we're going to do this 3 times, and then we're going to do Charleston modeling. So this is the exercise that I call random pulls, and you're just going to go to Mahjong School here and click on an empty seat with a random wall. Here's one right here. Oh, let me go full screen. Okay, so here's a random wall with an empty seat. So we're going to click join. Let's see what we can do with these tiles. So the first thing you're going to do is target strength. And that's going to be wherever your multiples are. And right here we have a pung of 4s. That is what we're going to target, the 4. So whatever we play, we're going to use the 4. And it really just simplifies the decision making. What else can we keep that will use most of our tiles and we can focus on one category, let's say? What would you keep with the 4? And what category would you focus on? I'll give you like 30 seconds to figure that out. Put it in chat. Consecutive run, says Bonnie. Let me put this in order here. Four, 5, 6, says Bonnie. Okay. All right. So that's what I would do. Also, I would focus on 4, 5, 6. So I would gather all 4, 5, 6, and it doesn't matter what suit it is. You keep it all. We could maybe even use that white dragon. The hands in consecutive run for 2023 are corresponding to the suit. There's no offsuit dragon hand with consecutive tiles other than, of course, if you're playing a year hand. So someone might think, well, maybe consider keeping the 2, because if you happen to get an 8, you could maybe play 2, 4, 6, 8 if the consecutive run doesn't come in. And this is important because in this case, that would be a gap. We have no 8. So I would minimize that as an option. I wouldn't be distracted by 2, 4, 6, 8, even though we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 even tiles. We have no 8. That is a gap. So that would be minimized as an option. It could still be on the table, but it's way down there. It's low. Consecutive run 4, 5, 6 is a much better choice. And we would be able to pass 1, 7, 9. You might think, well, why not keep the 1 and play 1, 2, 3, 4? That's consecutive run, but there's a gap. No 3. We have no 3. So instead of passing like numbers with 9s, which incidentally I think is almost as risky as passing a pair, I highly recommend against it. There are like 40% of the hands on the card use like numbers. So I highly suggest that you not pass like numbers ever, if just make it a rarity. Like if you know what hand you're playing and you have no gaps. So I would not do that. I would instead pass 1, 7, 9. And these are all even or all odd tiles. That's okay, because we are focused on developing our hand as priority 1. And the other priority, second priority, is to pass as defensively as you can with whatever you have left. So if you're thinking, oh, I got to break something up in here to make that better, I would not in this case. I'd keep it all. One thing you maybe could do is let the 2 go. That might make it a little bit better. But if we happen to get an 8, we might be able to switch to evens. So I think passing a 1 with a 7, 9 in this case would probably be just maybe a little bit more risky and not that much. But the idea is that you want to just mitigate the risk as much as you can. There's going to be risk in every single pass. Okay, so Patricia's saying, well, why not pass the 5 crack? Well, the 5 crack, oh, and incidentally, you could even play maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, because if you look at consecutive run, there are 2 hands that span 5 numbers. The first hand with either little numbers or big numbers. So there's 2 options on the first hand, 1 through 5 or 5 through 9. So in this case, we would maybe play the first hand, but we have mixed suits. So I wouldn't even think about playing a 1 suit hand here. Now, if we happen to get a flower in the Charleston, maybe we could consider playing that concealed hand, but we have a gap, no flowers. So I would focus on mixed suits. And when you're in mixed suits, the options are almost all 4 numbers in a range with one exception, and that is the 4th hand down. The shape there is single pair pung, kong, kong, 5 numbers in a range. And if we're going to use the 4, we would need, for example, to hold 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in BAMs, which we have no 3 BAM, and then 4, 5 with the 5 crack. So that would be picking a hand with a gap. That's what I call a gap hand. Try not to play a gap hand, especially early in the Charleston. We haven't even done a pass yet. So I would not consider that as a hand. I would play 4, 5. I would probably focus on 4, 5, 6, and I would keep every 4, 5, 6, maybe even the 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, and hoard until I have more multiples to help me make my decision. Because again, targeting multiples is going to expedite hand development, because in the end, you're going to need more multiples. Okay, excellent, Patricia. So we're going to keep 4, 5, 6, 7, or 2, 3, 4, 5. Since we have no 3, maybe the 2 would be a better pass. So 1 and 2, and we forget about the potential for evens because we have no 8. So let's focus on 4, 5, 6, 7 of some kind. The 7 might not work with the 4, but there are some cases where that might work. But we're not going to go into what ifs right now. So 4, 5, 6, 7, we're targeting the strength, which is the 4 dot. It's a multiple, and we're keeping most of our tiles, and we're going to play consecutive run because it uses most of our tiles, which happens often. Okay, we're going to do this one more time. And I like the interactivity, so please put in your comments and questions. If you would do something different, let me know, because maybe I'm not seeing something that does, you know, I'm not a perfect, I'm not a perfect player. I fail at times. Everybody does. This game is complex, and sometimes you don't see the trees for the forest, even with experience. Okay, let's see what we have this time. Oh, this will be a pretty good one here. We have a joker, 4, 5, 9 in BAMs, 2, 3, 7, 8 in cracks with a pair of 3s, 1, 2, 9 in dots, red dragon, and a south. If these were your tiles, what would you focus on? And what would be your first pass? Thank you, Bonnie. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 30 seconds here, 30 seconds to look at these tiles and tell me what you would focus on. Okay, so if these were my tiles, I would build around, or gather, I should say. We're going to target the 3s. It's a multiple, and we're going to gather tiles that can be used for them. Now, one of the things I was thinking is we have like numbers with 9s, so maybe we could do 3, 6, 9. That's actually where my eye went at first. But then I noticed, well, what do you notice? Tell me what you notice about this potential. Bonnie says 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 odds. We have no 6s, so I wouldn't think about 3, 6, 9. We do have odd tiles. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles for 3 odds. Now in mixed suits, we could, with these tiles, maybe play, let's say, the second hand from the bottom, or maybe the concealed hand, but there are gaps. There are gaps. So that could be an option. We would use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles. But let's say we play consecutive run, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles. It's kind of even, but here's the thing. Consecutive run has way more options than odds, and you can go up or down the sequence in a 5-number range for this year, especially if you have mixed suits, because we have that 4th hand down. So if these were my tiles, I would play consecutive run, and I'd probably keep the dragon. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles. Now the dragon could only be used with the cracks this year in consecutive run because they're corresponding. We don't have offsuit dragon hands in that category. So if these were my tiles, I would play consecutive run, and I probably would pass the south. Now, one thing you could do, Bonnie, is consider both odds and consecutive run and let the dragon go. And then let just one tile go, which would be, let's say, the 8. That way you could keep odds and consecutive run, and you can straddle the fence for a bit. You can kind of play tandem categories, which would be those two categories, consecutive run and odds. And if we get better filler tiles, like maybe more 4s, maybe more 2s, or maybe even a 6, we might be able to switch to consecutive run for greater flexibility. So we're in between categories here, leveraging the 3. That's targeting the multiple. So we're optimizing and we're maximizing. So we're combining 2 techniques here. So we have a pretty good chance at developing this hand pretty well during the Charleston, which is what you want to do. This is the purpose of the Charleston, to expedite building your hand. Really, it's expediting hand development, because you're technically not going to be building your hand until you have no gaps. Right now, it's a bit gappy. We don't really have the right mixed suit tiles to be able to pick a hand. I would not pick a hand here at all. Although we could technically pick a hand. We could play maybe the second hand down on the right under consecutive run. 2, 3 in cracks, 4, 5 in bams. That would use the multiple, and there's no gaps. And we could actually start building here because we have no gaps for that. But I'd rather gather. It rhymes. I'd rather gather until I run out of discards and then make a decision at the hand level. You really do not have to pick a hand or even look at the hands until you run out of discards, or you get to that decision point where you have to free up tiles to continue the Charleston, or maybe you're in the pick and discard phase of the game and someone discards a tile you might need. That might force you to look at the hand level. But technically, you don't have to. You don't have to pick a hand until you run out of discards. And to me, that really simplifies decision making, because all you do at this point is gather. You just gather tiles for the strength of your hand. Okay, so we did 3 random pulls. This is a very good exercise if you are struggling with getting started. And if you have a set of tiles at home, do this at home with your tiles. Having, being able to touch the tiles and move the tiles, this is great, a great experience for skill building, because you're touching the tiles, you're seeing the tiles, it's interactive, it's hands-on, which is a good way to learn. So do random pulls at home. Pull 13 or 14 random tiles. Identify the strength of your hand. If you have a multiple, target the multiple. Gather tiles to support it and play a category that uses most of your tiles to maximize. And then figure out what your first pass is going to be. Then throw the tiles in and do it again. And I like to do that 3 times. And however much time you have, you could even do it more. And then I would move into Charleston modeling, which is what we're going to do now. So this is where you would do random pulls, but then you add a mock Charleston with your tiles. And you're going to look at many tiles, like 30, 40 tiles, pull out all the jokers after you get your dealt hand, and then turn the tiles upside down, mix it around, and then create 6 rows of 3 tiles each so that you have incoming passes to help you. I have lots of videos on this. We're going to do this online, and you'll see how to do Charleston modeling in Mahjong school against robots right now. So we're going to see how this hand develops. We're looking at either consecutive run or we're looking at odds. Let's just see which one comes in. And it's going to be determined based on how the multiples form, because you're going to go with the trend of multiples. Let the tiles tell you where to go. So we're going to start with our first pass. We're going to pass 8 crack, red dragon, and south. So we're now doing Charleston modeling. We're going to get an incoming pass. So we have a 1 now. 1, 2, 3. Here's a new multiple, a 4. This to me is why targeting makes the decision making so easy. We have multiples with 3, 4. So off the table would be consecutive run. It's just gone. We can just let it go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have like numbers with 9s here and a 7. I would not pass like numbers. I would let something go. So I would look at my tiles and I would want to release one tile that would not affect the strength of my hand and being able to give myself flexibility. So we could maybe play that second hand down, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5. So we really don't need the 1s or really the 2 dot either. Let's see now, if we were to get a 5 dot, we could maybe play the fourth hand down, 1, 2, 3 and cracks, 4 bam with a 5 dot. That's a gap. So I would minimize that as an option. Let's see, another thing we could do. Let's see here. 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3. Really, those are the only 2 hands I would consider. And that's really all we need to do right now because we have 3 tiles we've identified that we don't need, really. The 1 dot or the 2 dot. So probably what I would do here is pass the 1 dot. Because if we happen to get a flower, which we probably won't, because a lot of people don't pass flowers, we could maybe play the mixed suit Kong hand, which is the 5th hand down on the right. We have 2 dot, 3 crack, 4 bam. We have a gap though, no flower. So that would be lower on the priority. Really, the second hand down is ideal for these tiles. And we have 1 of each suit, which is the best we can do with what we have. So we're going to go ahead and pass. Let's just see what we get. It will be interesting to see if we get a 5 dot. Oh, we got a 3 crack and a 6. Now, when you get these tiles, consider your range. We're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a lot. We got to whittle that out. So the next thing you want to do is look for maybe isolated tiles and let those go. We have like numbers with 9s, which would be very risky to pass. I would not do that. We have the 1, which is isolated, 1 all the way up to 4. And we have a 1 bam and a 2 dot. No, we do have a mixed suit with the 3, but we'd have to let the 4 go. I would let this 1 bam go. And the 6 crack is isolated from the 3 crack. And if we worked with 4, 5, 6, let's say, really we wouldn't be able to do 3 crack with the 4 bam and a 6. So I would let that go. So by process of elimination, you can identify those isolated tiles to help you decide what to let go of. Because technically 1 through 6 would work with these tiles. But in this case, because of where our multiples are and the suits that we have, it's not going to work. So just think process of elimination and isolated tiles. Process of elimination and isolated tiles. I'm going to write that down because this is actually an overall strategy for Mahjong, no matter what version you play. So that is just the nature of the game. So I'm going to work on some content around that idea because I think that it can really simplify decision making on what to pass during the Charleston and what to discard if you have all keepers. So look forward to that at a future event. Okay, so we're going to pass these. We're gathering 1, 2, 3, 4, or probably 2, 3, 4, 5. We just got 4s. Here's a 4 bam, a 4 crack, and a 4 bam. We still have like numbers with 9s. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in cracks. We're kind of reassessing at the moment because we're building multiples here, 3 and 4, and we got a 4. So we have 2, 3 in cracks with a pung, and then 4, 5 in bams with a pung. So if we were to play that second hand down, we would not need the 2 dot and the 1. Oh, we're being asked if we want to keep going. We absolutely do want to keep going. Some people might think, well, let's stop the Charleston because I have only 2 tiles to pass and I don't want to pass like numbers. We have too many discards. For example, if we pick a hand here to free up discards or start looking at the hand level, we can continue the Charleston and have access to 9 more tiles, maybe even 12 more tiles, because we have 3 passes and the optional. So we might be able to still develop this hand with all those tiles. I would not stop the Charleston here. I would whittle down my options for hands and keep going. So we could play the second hand down, 1, 2, 3, 4 in 2 suits, which would be 2 crack, 3 crack, 4 bam, 5 bam. So for sure one of the 9s will go. We didn't use the 4 and we didn't use the 1 and the 2 in the 2 dot and the crack there. Now we could, if we happen to get a 5 dot, we could maybe play that, let's see, which one is that? 4th hand down, 1, 2, 3, single pair pung, Kong. We don't have a 5 dot though. That's a big gap. But one of the things we could do is, let's see, we could do 2, 3, 4, 5, pick that, maybe let the 2 dot go and the 4 crack, and then one of the 9s like that. So let those go. The 2 is isolated. The 4, it is consecutive, 3, 4, 4, 5, but because of our multiple with the 4 and the 5, we really are not going to be able to use that. So just by process of elimination, you can figure out what to pass. No keepers. We've got a new multiple. Anytime you develop a new multiple, reassess. And in this case, it's outside of the most of our multiples, which would be 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if we happen to get the 5 dot. But that's a big if, and that's a big multiple, a Kong. That's a Kong gap. That's way too big to focus there. So we have a 9 and an 8 to let go of. We have a hand here with no gaps. So I would let the 1 go and focus on 2, 3, 4, 5. Pung Kong. Now, if we happen to get everything we want, we're going to get stuck with a pair. So what I would do is break up that 9 dot or 9 crack pair, and passing like numbers is better than passing a pair if we have to. So this is a little bit risky, passing 8 and 9 together, but it's only a little bit less risky to pass mixed suits. So I would rather set myself up with a good pass next time. So we're going to let that 9 crack go. This is a bit risky. There's risk in every pass though. So try not to worry about that and just think you're going to mitigate the risk as best you can. Okay, so we have a 1 bam, which is consecutive, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a 3 dot, that is in our range, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 2 tiles to pass. So this is when you look for isolated tiles. This 1 sticks out like a sore thumb. So I think that's what I would pass, the 1. Just look deep enough to free up a discard. And then just stop the analysis. Here we have a 1, 3. So some odd potential is showing up here. 1, 3, 5. But we have a gap, no 1 crack. We have only 1, 5 bam, and it's a single. I would not be distracted by that. And I would want to pass fully break up the 9, and let the 1 dot go. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5. Interesting. Here's a 2, 3. We got the 4 back. And we have 2 discards. So we have 2 discards. We know what category we're playing. We have 2 strong multiples. We even have a hand with no gaps. I would say that we would be a contender here. Even though we have only 2 discards, we have options. But I think just because of the strength of the hand, I would probably commit. And if somebody throws a 3 crack, I would Kong. If somebody throws a 2 crack, I would Pung. And I would dig my heels in and focus on that because we have a hand with no gaps. Let's see if there'd be something else I would keep. I would start by discarding the 9. So technically we have 5 discards and we know what hand we're playing and we have no gaps. We have to build though. This would be where we've already gathered, and all we have to do now is build because we have everything we need. We need to build the 2 and the 5. If a 3 crack goes down, we can Kong already. If the 2 crack goes down, we can Pung, and then we just need to build the 5. So I would say that's a good Charleston. Very good, actually, even though we have 5 discards. What do you guys think about that process and this result? Shall we do it again? We're going to exit. I would say we'd be a contender. I don't think we'd be a front runner yet because we need to build this 5. That needs to be a Kong. Okay, so we're going to do it again. We'll do another Charleston modeling. And then maybe we'll start playing. We'll play it through. Okay, so we're going to find a random wall. The reason there are so many is because there are people in here practicing. These are all people practicing the game. Okay. We have 5 bam 9 bam pair 5 1 4 6 9 in cracks pair 1 Pung 6. We have 4 dot 6 dot east and south. If these were your tiles, what would you focus on and what would be your first pass? I'll give you like 20 more seconds. If you're brave enough, write it in the chat what you would focus on. What would you keep and what would you focus on? Would this stump you? Write hashtag stumped in chat if you are stumped. Okay, Patricia, thank you so much. Yep, watch the repost and join us again next week. We'll be back again on Monday for more nitty-gritty basics. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're going to stop. All right, now we have 3 multiples in here. 1 crack. Okay, Kathy, thank you for commenting. Hashtag stumped. Okay, so here's the solution. We have a 1 crack multiple, and then we have a 5 bam pair and a 6 crack Pung. You build, or you basically target your multiples still, but you work with most of your multiples. The 1 is really far from our 5 6, and in order to use the 5 6, we're going to let the 1 go, and that's okay. You use the most of your multiples and play a category that uses most of your tiles. So in this case, we would let the ones go probably. So one of the things I was looking at here is we do have potential for 4, 5, 6. That is probably the strongest potential here, 4, 5, 6. But we also have 9s and another 6 there. If we happen to get 3s, we might be able to do 3, 6, 9. But that 3 could also be used for 3, 4, 5, 6, which is much more efficient. Consecutive run tiles are much more efficient. You can go up or down the range. 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can go up or down that range. Because we have a gap with the 1 up to the 4, it's just isolated. So in this case, I would pass the east, the 9, and a 1. And incidentally, I try not to pass 2 wins together because of news. There's 3 little news hands, and then there's 1, 2, 3 big news hands. Little news would be NEWS, singles, under the year. And then we have 2 little news hands in Winds and Dragons, sec 2 on the bottom there, where there are singles in there. Those are little news. So we have 3 little news hands, and we have 1, 2, 3 big news hands, and that's where you have pungs and kongs with the wins. So because of that, I try not to pass 2 wins together, if at all possible. It's almost as risky as passing like numbers. So if you think about that in a sequence of, or in a, let's say, a priority list of passing a pair is the most risky. Then passing like numbers, passing 2 wins, passing 2 dragons. Those are the list, the priority list of risky passes. So try not to pass 2 wins together if you don't have to. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Yes, it does take time. And even experienced players have a transition period with the new card. So you're not alone. I struggle with figuring out what to play because I don't know the card well enough yet, but I know the categories. And because when you start with hand development, you're not looking at the hand level yet. You're gathering for the category. So you really don't have to even look at the card. You just gather for the category. And we know we're going to gather 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't matter what suit it is. Doesn't matter really what number it is, as long as it's in a range around our multiple for consecutive run. We don't have to even look at the card. We're just going to gather till we run out of discards. And to me, that just simplifies the whole decision-making process. You really don't have to look at the hands on the card until you run out of discards or until you're at a decision point. So here we're going to pass East 1, 9. And I think that is the most defensive pass we can do with what we have. It's a little bit risky passing both odds, but we want to optimize our potential to develop the hand, which is why we're keeping the 4s and the 6s, or the 6 there. Okay, here we go. Interesting. Ding, 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 ding. We've got a 3, a 5. So when I'm gathering, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll target my discards so I know exactly how many tiles I need to free up. So I know I don't need the south. And this 7 we might be able to use because we have 4, 5, 6, 7. I know I don't need the 9 because we're not going to go from 5 bam up to 6 and then 9 crack. We can't go from 6 to 9 in one suit with an offsuit pair with the 5 bam. It just won't happen. So we only need to find 1 tile. So now I'm going to look at what is isolated. And what is isolated is the one crack. There's no two. So the one crack can go. Now passing 1 9 and 1 suit, that's a little bit risky. So let's just look at what we have. Really, this 7 bam is isolated because we have a 5 bam multiple. Whatever we do, we want to use that 5 bam pair. That would be targeting the strength of the hand, the multiple. So really, this 7 bam is isolated because we have no 6 bam. We have nothing to take us from 5 to 7 in bams. So we could make this pass better by letting that 7 bam go. That would be mitigating the risk of this pass. And we still have 3, 4, 5, 6 using 2 multiples. Now, what we're playing yet, we don't know, and it's okay. It's okay to not know what hand you're playing. I know that one of the feelings that come up inside is the need to pick a hand. I know that out of experience. I know that eventually I need to pick a hand. So that urge is always going to be there. You're always going to want to pick a hand, but you really don't need to pick a hand until you run out of discards. And that's where we are right now. We have enough discards to where we don't even need to think about what hand we're going to play because we're in gather mode. We're gathering tiles to support the strength of our hand. And right now, that is 5 bam, 6 crack. 5 bam, 6 crack. We're gathering everything we can for that. Now, you might think to yourself, well, why not keep the 7 bam and play the 5th hand down on the right? Pair of flowers, 5 bam. No, that wouldn't be the right bam. We would need a 7 dot, not a 7 bam. Really, that 7 bam is not useful for us at all. We need a 7 dot. And not only that, but we don't have any flowers. That is a pair gap. So I wouldn't even think about playing that hand. So anyhow, we're going to, okay, why keep the dots? Just hold for next Charleston. We're keeping the dots to see if we can gather tiles that we might be able to use them. So they're just fodder. They're fodder for what we can use going forward potentially. We're keeping everything that we could potentially use as the hand develops. And since we have discards, we can keep that as fodder. There are additional tiles that we might be able to use depending on what comes in. We actually do have a hand in here, but it's very weak. And that would be the second hand down, 3, 4, 5, 6, pung, kong, pung, kong. It would be 3 crack pung, 4 crack kong, 5 crack pung, 6 crack kong. We'd have to throw away the 5 bam pair. And sometimes that happens. But we really don't want to get to that level of decision making yet because we've got 4 discards. Anytime you have discards, you don't have to pick a hand. Just remember that. Just try to ignore, if you will, that urgency to pick a hand because you really don't have to pick a hand till you run out of discards. So let's keep going. Look what we got. 4s. Here's a 4 crack and a 4 bam. So now we have 2 discards. We know we don't need the 1 crack and the 9 crack. We know we don't need those. So we need 1 tile. We got to find 1 tile to let go of. We have 4, 5 in bams, 3, 4, 5, 6 in cracks, 4 dot, 6 dot. So our multiples are 5 bam, 4 crack, 6 crack, 4, 5, 6. With the strength of those tiles, we really don't need probably the 6 dot. And we have a new multiple for that potential hand, second one down. I still wouldn't pick a hand because we do have discards, but that is building. And it's got 2 multiples. we may have to break up the 5 bam in order to play that second hand down. But we really don't have to go to that level yet. We've freed up a tile so we can keep going. What we're looking for here is probably 3-5 crack. Here we have tiles we know we don't need. We've got one, we really have, here's a 3-4-5 now. 3-4-5, 4-6. We have 2 discards. So here, let me know in the chat, would you be tempted to stop the Charleston here? Write stop in the chat if you would want to stop the Charleston. And write go if you would keep going. Excellent, Susan. Yay, that's good. That kind of takes the pressure off, doesn't it? To me, it removes the pressure. Okay, Diane says go. Joey says go. Okay, excellent. Go, 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 go. Yes, we're going to keep going because we've got discards. So the East can go. We're going to say go. Excellent. Well done, everybody there. Go. We're going. So we have an East and a 9. We just need one more tile in here. We have 3-4-5 in bams, 3-4-5-6 in cracks. I say this 4 dot is isolated. Even though we do have some like number potential, we would have to throw away a pung of 6s. I would let that be my decision maker right there. Whatever we play, I would use that 6, the 6 crack. Consecutive runs. Yep, good, Kathy, yes. Okay, so we're going to pass East 4-9. And incidentally, I think this is the ideal pass. If you're thinking to yourself, what is a safe pass? First, there's always some level of risk. One of these tiles might fit our opponent's hand, but this is an ideal pass. We have a wind, 2 number tiles in different suits, 1 little, 1 big, 1 even, 1 odd. This is the most benign pass you can have. Just incidentally. So we're looking at 3-4-5-6. Oh, we got like numbers. Okay, well, this is a bit interesting. Look what we've developed here. 4 crack, 5 crack, 6 crack, 7. We know we don't need the 7. The 1 is isolated. We need 1 more tile to pass. So if we have either 3-4-5-6 for second hand down, or 4-5-6-7, also second hand down, we could maybe do 4-5-4-5, which is the third hand from the bottom. Let's see, we could do 4th hand down, but we have a gap, no 5 dot. We could do 3-4-5 single pair pung in the bams. Then we could do 5 dot Kong, which is a gap, and then 6 crack. That's a Kong gap. So I wouldn't think about that. I would probably break up the 3 or 4, one or the other. Since we have an option for 4-5, even though we'd have to break up a 6, I would think about passing 1-3-7. That would be better by passing the 4. And since we have a range with 3 through 7, 3-4-5-6 or 4-5-6-7, I probably would prepare myself for breaking up that 5 bam. Okay, is this what you guys would do? 1-4-7? That would be a nice pass. It's not too risky. And we know what hand we're playing, and we have no gaps. If we decide to play that hand, which probably is what I would do. 1-8-9. So now we have 1 we don't need for sure. Maybe we let this 3 go now because it's isolated. So 3, and then maybe we let the 8 go. 1-3-8. 1-3-8. Oh, you know what I just saw here? we do have some potential for the pair hand. 7 consecutive pairs. We'd have to let a 6 crack go, but look what we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the 8, 9 have been going around. You know what I would do? I'd keep the 6 and break up the 5. And I would pass 1, 3, 5. And you might think, well, wow, that's pretty risky. That's pretty risky passing 1, 3, 5 like that. And what I would say to myself is, first of all, I know what hand I'm playing and I have no gaps with 2 multiples, and I have a potential for a pair hand, a big hand, a 50-point hand. So I would say the risk is worth it. I would break up that 5 and keep the 8, 9. We might get that 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. I don't remember what was going around, but I know there's a 9 crack floating around. Maybe this is it. I don't know. There could be a pair floating around. So let's just see what we get. We got a 6 and a 1. 6 and 1. Now we have a Kong of 6s. I would forget about the pair hand. So probably what I would do is pass fully. We have an isolated 1 and a 1 crack all the way up to a 6 crack Kong. That's not going to happen. So that we know we don't need. So I would pass fully and let the 1, 5, probably 1, 5, 9, 1, 5, 9, or maybe the 8. But we could do 5, 6, 7, 8. But really, we have a multiple in here with our 4. So I would want to leverage that 4. So maybe we make that a little bit better by passing an 8 crack. If we pass the 9 crack or the 9 bam, I think that would be more risky. So I think out of what we have, passing 1, 8, 5 would be smart. One, 3, we have a pair we don't need. So here's 1, 3, 9, 3 discards with joker bait, and we know what hand we're playing, and we have an option. So I would say that we would be a contender again for this hand. We have a pair we don't need. Does everybody know about joker bait? That is kind of an advanced strategy. So we're not going to talk about it in depth, but I do have videos on it. If you want to know more about it, just go to my YouTube channel and type in joker bait, and it is a way to get a joker in your hand during the pick and discard. Let's see. Thank you for the distinction on that optional. Okay. Good. Thank you, Bonnie. But you are all in 1 suit. Yep, we're in 1 suit now. So the 1, 3 dot, those are discards. Whatever we play, we're going to use the 4, 6. So probably 3, 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5, 6, 7. So probably I would keep the 9 bam till later in the game and see if I could get a joker there, and then start discarding 1, 3, 9 on the right there and gather. If we get a 7, I'd let the 3 crack go. If we get a 3 crack, then I'd let the 7 go. So we have an option here. Okay, should we do another Charleston modeling, or do you guys want to play this one through? Put play if you want to go through the pick and discard phase. Or if we should do the Charleston one more time, just don't put anything in the, or put leave. Put leave if you want to do the Charleston again, and type in go if you want to do the pick and discard. Play. Okay, we got play. Okay, we'll play this one out. All right, so we're going to start by discarding the 9, I think, because we have a Kong of 6s. So we're going to discard that 9 crack.
9 characters.
And then we'll do it again. Hopefully we'll be able to do two more games. Maybe one more with robot.
Bamboos.
Or we could start playing with real live people.
3 bamboos.
We got a joker. So we're going to keep that joker and we maybe discard the 1 or the 3.
1 dot.
Pung.
Okay, we got a pung with a joker.
7 bamboos.
Now we're playing pung kong. So we might be able to use this joker to help
1
us
character.
get either the pung of 3 crack, pung 5 crack, or
2
kong 4.
bamboos.
We still have gathering to do here. We need to build. Guess what? We got the 7. So now we can let the 3 dot go.
3 dots.
And we can now let this 3 crack go because we have another multiple with the 7. So we're going to do
bamboos.
4, 5, 6, 7. We'd have to let the 6 crack go, but that's
7
okay.
characters.
I think what I would do, we have to make a choice right now. I think I would go ahead and kong because we could pung the 4. We have the pung of 6s. All we need to do is build the 5. Let's see. It's kind of 6 1 half dozen the other, I think, because we're not ready to kong the, let's see, we're not ready to kong the 4 or pung the 3 if we pass on that. 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what? I just had a thought. Oh, never mind. I was thinking maybe we could play that second quint, but it's those numbers only, 2, 3, 4, 5. I really wish that hand we could play quints. Anyway, it doesn't apply here. So we have to make a choice here, and that is a multiple. I would kong.
Kong.
And then I probably would let the 3 go now.
3 characters.
Yeah, we're playing the second consecutive hand.
1 character.
We're playing 4, 5, 6, 7. We have an
8
extra
characters.
6, and that's okay. We're ready to pung the 4. We need to build our 5.
Bamboos.
We just need to build the 5.
8 bamboos.
The shape is pung kong,
1 dot.
kong. So we have an extra 6.
South wind. Pung. 5 dots.
1 character.
We need a 5 crack.
Pung. West wind.
So we have pung pung, 1s.
1 character.
They could be playing the
6 dots.
They could be playing that
Pung.
3rd hand from the bottom under
8
consecutive run.
characters.
We do not need a 2.
2 bamboos.
So they could be playing 1, 2, 1, 2 crack, 1, 2 dot.
8 dots.
That's really the only thing they can be playing, actually,
5 characters.
because there's no like number, or there's no odds with
8
double
characters.
1s. Okay, now here's an interesting thought. We have a red dragon. We could do kong kong dragon if we get a flower. 3rd hand down. I would let the 9 go now.
9 bamboos.
If we get even 1 flower, we could leverage that kong of
bamboos.
6s and play 6, 7 in 1 suit with dragons. We would have
9
to build
dots.
the red dragon, but it's an option to think about.
7 dots. 6 bamboos.
7 bamboos. 9 bamboos.
If we had had that dragon during the Charleston, that would have, we
characters.
could have maybe thought about playing. Oh, we're gonna pung. We know what hand we're playing, and we have no gaps, so we're gonna pung.
Pung.
And then I would discard the riskiest tile we have, which would probably be this red dragon.
Red dragon.
Maybe the player on our left,
9 bamboos.
they didn't want it.
8 bamboos.
The 6 crack should be safe because we have all 4.
8 bamboos.
The
2
9
bamboos.
bam is safe because it was discarded twice now and nobody wanted
7
them.
dots.
So we have 2 safe discards. We need 5 cracks.
White dragon.
And there are 2 jokers available for exchange. That's where you see kind of the
9
glowy,
dots.
the glowy tiles. Okay, 3 dot is out.
3 dots.
5 dots. 8 characters.
3 dots.
Joker. That is very helpful.
9 bamboos.
Okay, so we need one good pick and we'll be ready to win. We
2
need
dots.
we need to Kong the 5. Pung Kong, Pung Kong. We
3
have an
characters.
extra 6. Let's hope for a 1 crack or a 7 crack.
Red dragon.
Oh, 5 bam. We don't need that.
5 bamboos.
5 characters.
Oh, that's our tile. We'll pass. We need to Kong. So we're gonna need
9
a
dots.
5 crack or a joker, of course. We have a joker, but if we draw a 5 crack, we'll be okay.
3 dots.
We need a good pick. No, that's not it.
Green dragon.
Okay, so there was a
7 dots.
hesitation on that. Maybe the robot to our left is playing a 3-6-9 offsuit
bamboo.
dragon hand.
East wind.
Okay, we need a 1 crack or 7 crack. Oh, 1 dot. No,
1
we
dot.
needed the 1 crack.
9 characters. 6 bamboos.
8 dots.
We need a keeper. No. All right.
7 bamboos.
4 bamboos. North wind.
Okay, we need
South wind.
let's see. 7 bam can go. Let's see.
7 bamboos.
You can put the 7 crack down.
East wind. 3 bamboos.
Let's see, Kathy, you can put the 7 crack down even though it's exposed.
West wind.
Well, yeah, there's a joker there. So if we happen to get that joker,
6
we
dots.
can make the exchange and get ready to
Red
win.
dragon.
There are 2 jokers up for grabs right now.
Flower.
Is that what you mean, Kathy?
West wind.
We need a keeper in here. 1 crack, 7, 5 crack. Oh, 3 crack. No, we'll let that go.
3 characters.
5 dots.
Maybe the robot has consecutive tiles.
Flower.
Okay, we need a keeper in here.
9 dots.
5 crack, 7, 1. Oh, we got a 7 dot.
7 dots.
5 bamboos.
Oh, is
7
that why the
characters.
tile's on its side? Oh, they got it.
2 dots.
No, the tiles are on their side because they indicate which player discarded them.
North wind.
That's why the tile's on its side. 2 dot, we do not need that.
2 dots.
So if the tile in the
9
middle
characters.
is turned, that means the player across from you discarded it.
2 dots.
Not on its side, but highlighted. That means it's a joker.
4 characters.
Okay, we need a keeper in here. 9 crack.
9 characters.
So even though you have a hand from the
Green
Charleston
dragon.
with no gaps and you even have multiples, it's not a guarantee that you're going to win. As you can see, we've
5 dots.
we've known what hand we're playing. All we needed to do was build.
3 characters.
You still have to be able to draw and get the right tiles at the right time to call. So we're still 1
4
away
bamboos.
from ready. The 7
4
is on
dots.
its side. Yes. That means the player across from us discarded
White
it.
dragon.
The player across from us discarded it. So we know they
8
don't want
dots.
7 cracks. Okay, we need a keeper. West. Pung. They have a Pung south. This west should be safe.
West wind.
It's out as well.
Kong.
Oh, they have
East
a
wind.
Kong. Oh, they're playing. Okay, so this is surprising because They have
6
east and west
bamboos.
in front of them, but they're playing the first news hand. So this is the first news hand on the right. This is why the bots
8
are not
dots.
smart. They threw away east and west.
6 bamboos.
They're right in front of them. So that's why I thought that west would be
Red
safe.
dragon.
But anyhow, that's okay.
Flower.
Okay, we need a keeper. No.
3 bamboos.
Oh, no worries, Kathy.
2 bamboos. 5 characters.
Oh, that's our tile. We can't take it. We have 1 discard and 1 pick.
Flower.
I just threw this 3 and nobody wanted it. We
3
could have maybe
bamboos.
thrown the joker 2, but nobody wanted that 3.
Flower.
Okay, so we had a wall game. Wall game. Yeah, we don't need to look at what they're doing because it's a hot mess. Okay, so we have time to play a game with either robots. Do you want to play with robots so we can talk through things, or do you want to play a game with real players? Put a 1 in chat if you want to play with robots so we can talk through things with our own timing, or if you want to play with real players, put a 2 in the chat. 1 for robots, 2 for real player. We'll take a majority vote here. Okay, we have 1, 2. We have an even Steven. We need a tiebreaker here. Should we play with a robot or play with a real player? We need a 1 or a 2 in the chat. Oh, sorry. I didn't see that. Okay, so we're going to play with a robot. All right. Sorry, I wasn't at the bottom of my screen. So majority wins, we're going to play with a robot again. Now tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be doing the Nitty-Gritty prime time, where we're going to do more strategy, but it's going to be a little more advanced. So if you feel up to it, join us again at 6 p.m. tonight, and we'll be playing probably against people tonight. Join us again, 6 p.m. Eastern time, for more Let's Play live stream with Nitty-Gritty topic. I don't remember what the topic is for this Nitty-Gritty. I'll have to look. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 5, 8 in BAMs, pair 1, pair 8. We have 2, 5 in cracks, 2, 5, 9 in dots, east, west, and south. If these were your tiles, what would you focus on, and what would be your first pass? I'll give you 30 seconds. Put in chat what category would you play? Would you target the 1 BAM pair, or would you target the 8 BAM pair? Or would you do something completely different, like maybe like numbers with 5s or something with news? Okay. So I see Bonnie says 3 sets of 2 and 5, so 1 bam pair. So you would focus on 1, 1, 2, or little odds if 3s come in. Is that what you're thinking? Let's just use the winds to kind of break that up. So 1, 2, or 1, 3, 5. Is that what you're thinking? 1, 2 consecutive, says Mary. Pairs, keep that in your head at all times. Yes, Kathy. Bonnie says 3 sets of 2s and 5s, so keep the 1 bam. I like it. I like it. If 2s come in, we could switch to maybe a year hand or like numbers with 2s. Or we could do 1, 2 and mix suit with news concealed. There is some potential for evens. We would keep the 2s and the 8, but we have no 4 or 6. That's 2 gaps. So that I would concur with this. 5s work with the 8s. There are 3 numbers in between 5s and 8s, so I would not consider that. I would break up the 8 and the 9. I would pass the 9 and let something in here go. So if we happen to get 3s, we could potentially play some kind of a little odd hand. We do have some potential for the news concealed hand under wins with a 1 bam and a 2 in the either the crack or dot. So I think if these were my tiles, I would probably let the 5 crack go and pass 1 of each suit. There is a 2-8 hand, but we don't have dragons. Yep, that would be Kong gaps. So I would take that off the table completely. So we're looking at 1, 2, news, or little odds if 3s come in. So here we got 7, 6, 7, 8. So let's just reassess. Here's 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. We're not going to use 1 through 8. That's not possible. But you know what we could do is play maybe, let's see here. We have almost news. We could do 1, 2. This is where I would kind of just reassess. We could do 1, 2 with news, or we could do maybe something with a year hand with news. Yeah, this is a tough one. We have a pair of 8s. Maybe we just keep it and see what happens. Because if we get a 7 dot or a 7 dot or a 7 crack or 9 crack or 9 dot, I suppose we could have kept that 9 dot and played the consecutive news hand. So let's pass these. This is a bit risky here, but we need to optimize our potential to develop this hand. So I would let these go. It's risky, but that's okay. There's always risk. Okay, now we have pungs. Oh my gosh. Look at this. We have a pung of 8s. Oh my gosh. A pung of 8s and a pung of 1s. This is pretty weird. Let's pass 1, 7. And then I think what I would do here is probably let the 2 go. Because we could still maybe play news with the short little run, 1, 2. This is kind of rough. Sometimes it happens. Okay, now we have like number potential. Oh, we ended up getting a 2 bam. That's not helpful though. Here's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. No gaps. This is where you swear under your breath, Bonnie. Yeah, I could think of a choice word right now. Here's a 6. There's some 2, 4, 6, 8, but we have no 4. I would let that go. Okay, so now we have, we definitely should keep going. Would anybody want to stop the Charleston? I would not stop the Charleston here. We would keep Keep it going. So we're going to let the 6 go. We do have still some potential for 1-2 crack with news, but they're really not coming. We do have a hand with no gaps. 1-2, 1-2 in 2 suits. This is the 3rd hand from the bottom. 3rd hand from the bottom under consecutive run. Therefore, I would let the 8 go. And those would go next. And we keep getting 6s and 7s. 7, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's see here. We still have 1-2, 1-2 news. Winds are not coming around though. Okay, so let's see. Let's let the 6 crack go. We could still play 1-2 bams, cracks with news. Let's let the 6, the 7, and the 8 go. Part of me is tempted just to switch this and keep 6, 7, 8, but I'm thinking the same thing, Bonnie. 1-2. Okay, we've got the 2. And oh man, this is risky here. Okay, so let's do 5, 6. Since we have a 1-2 here, I would probably start breaking out these winds and let go of the news hand. One thing we could do is keep the west and let the south go. Because if we do get north and south, at least we could use jokers with north and south. Not so much with east and west, which are singles. So let's pass 6, 8 south. We're going to play 1-2. 1-2 of some kind. We got the 2. We're going to keep that. Okay, we'll let, oh, we definitely want to pass fully here. So how about west 8 and 5? We're looking for 1 crack. Oh, the east and west are singles. So at least by letting go of the south, if we happen to get winds, we let a south go, but we could use jokers. If we let a south go and someone keeps it, we can use jokers for the north and south. But for the east and west, if we let the east or west go and someone kept them, you can't use a joker for a single. So you would have to draw it. And what are the chances of you drawing one of 3 wests in the wall with 3 opponents? Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 discards. So we are an underdog for this game. We're going to start by discarding the wind.
East wind.
We have 1 through 8. We have no 3, 4. We're just going to gather. We're in gather mode. We have gaps,
6 bamboos.
but we do have the potential for 1-2 pung kong. So I would just gather tiles in a range around the 1-2. So I would let these big numbers go.
8 bamboos.
No worries, Kathy. Thanks so much for coming.
7 bamboos.
I hope you found this helpful. A split personality hand, Bonnie?
5 characters.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets a bit wacky.
7 bamboos.
But we do have a hand in here with no gaps. 3rd hand from the bottom. And these big numbers can all go.
7 dots.
7 bamboos. 6 characters.
8 bamboos.
Okay, that is a keeper. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. We might, if we
7
get
characters.
3s, we might be able to do something with it.
8 bamboos.
Like if we get a 3 crack, it's a big if. But if we get a 3 crack, we could play 1,
One
2 and
character.
bams, 3, 4 in cracks.
3 dots.
We could still do 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, now there's a white dragon.
7
Let's
bamboos.
see. I don't think we can do anything with it though. With 1, 2,
6 characters.
that would be a really risky discard to keep.
8 characters.
I think we should discard that.
1 character.
Okay, here's a 3 dot.
White dragon.
1, 2, 3, 4.
3
1, 2,
bamboos.
3, 4 is what we're holding. So the 6 is a discard. We're just going to keep gathering no matter what
9
suit.
bamboos.
No matter what suit. Uh-oh, Kathy, how come we have a
Green
frowny
dragon.
face? What happened? Did I mess something up? We're going to let the 6 bam go.
6 bamboos.
What happened?
2 dots.
How come we have a frowny face?
8 characters. Pung.
Did I mess something up?
4 dots.
Oh, you're just learning. Okay.
5 bamboos.
Mary said if we had kept the 8 bams, we'd be set with 2,
Green
4, 6, 8.
dragon.
Well, we only had 1 6. I think we had a 6 bam. Okay, so the 9 dot can go.
9 dots.
We have a flower
5
in
dots.
here.
3 dots.
So with a flower,
East wind.
I don't think I'm not sure about the flower yet. I
Red
would keep it
dragon.
because we could maybe play 1, 2, 3 mixed suit Kongs, 5th hand down on the right. We'll let the 6 crack go.
6 characters.
7 dots.
We could maybe
bamboos.
try for 1, 2, 3 mixed suit Kongs. We're not ready to call that. That would need to be a Kong if we play 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the 3rd hand from the bottom under consecutive run. We're not there yet.
White dragon.
So we're still gathering. We're in gather mode right now. There's a Joker exchange. I'm going to double click on
East
that.
wind.
So now we have a Joker in here to help us. The 5 crack or 5 bam here is isolated. So I would let that go. Let's see, 2, 3, yeah. So
5
what we have
bamboos.
here now is 1,
6 bamboos.
2, 3 mixed suit Kongs.
7 dots.
1, 2, 3 mixed suit Kongs with a pair of flowers. We could still maybe do 1,
bamboos.
2, 1, 2. There's a Joker exchange for the 8. So let's take
8
that.
characters.
I'm going to say no. Okay, so at this point, the 4 cracks. We could do 2, 3, 4, 2 bam, 3 dot, 4 crack, but we could leverage that pung of 1s there. I would let the 4s go at this point. We could still play 1, 2, 1, 2.
4 characters.
Pung Kong. Because we have
3
pung with the
bamboos.
1. We could pung the 1 crack, Kong, one of the 2s.
6 dots.
Or we could play 1, 2, 3 mixed suit Kongs.
2 dots.
We have a weakness with our flower. We need a pair there.
9 bamboos.
So we're kind of in between right
8
now, but
dots.
we're definitely playing consecutive run, leveraging
Pung.
multiples.
South wind.
Oh, the 4 crack.
4 characters.
No, Bonnie's asking about that 5th
1
hand
dot.
down. The starting number could be any number
6 dots.
as long as you end with 9. So any number you can start the run. It
4
just so happens
bamboos.
for us, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, now here's an interesting keeper right
4
there.
characters.
We could play 1, 2 dragon. 1, 2
3
dragon,
characters.
maybe.
3 dots.
We're going to have to make a choice in a minute. We actually are at a place where we have to make a choice now. Since there's a 3 dot out right now, there are 3 dots out. I would let that go. And because of that,
North wind.
I would focus on 1, 2, 1, 2. There's another Joker exchange.
8 characters.
So we're going to let that 3 go.
3 dots.
Since we don't have a pair in our
2
hand,
bamboos.
I would go ahead and Kong and play 1, 2, 1, 2. We're actually set for it. We can call for every block. So I would Kong here. And then I would discard the riskiest
Kong.
tile, which is the flower.
Flower.
And we can Pung the 1 and Kong the 2. We're 1 away
6
from ready.
characters.
1 away from ready to win on 1, 2, 1, 2. Third hand from the bottom under consecutive
White
red.
dragon.
Flower.
The riskiest tile we have is probably this dragon. How many 4 bams are out? There are 2 green dragons and 1 4 bam. Seems nobody wants the dragon, but there are hands with singles. So let's let this dragon go. Actually, everybody has exposures, so single dragon is not going to matter. Since we have evens out, let's let the 4 go.
4 bamboos.
1 character.
That's a Pung for us.
Pung.
And now we'll discard this green dragon.
Green dragon.
And we're ready to win on a 2 crack.
9 dots.
There are 3 jokers up for grabs.
West wind.
And we can use any number of jokers on this particular hand.
6 dots.
Let's hope we get a joker exchange for Mahjong. We do! Exchange, please.
8 dots.
Thank you. Mahjong! Woohoo! We got it. We got a winner in here for this nitty-gritty basics Let's Play live stream. That's going to do it. 1, 2, 1, 2. Winner. What do you guys think about these techniques from today? Target, gather, build, defend. Any questions or concerns? It was fun. Thank you, Kathy. I'm going to show that one. It was fun. It's always fun. Playing Mahjong is fun. You work your brain. You have fun with the tiles, playing with friends. It is fun. You're welcome. So happy you all came to join the live stream. Please join us on Mondays, 10 to noon, where we do this and we focus on basic strategy, basic decision making, basic concepts, so you can play with confidence and have more fun. You're welcome. It was my pleasure, sincerely. We'll be back again tonight for more advanced strategies if you're up to it, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you again, moderators, for helping monitor chat. Please share about this channel with your friends. Anybody who's new to the game or maybe is just focused on needing help with decision making like this, please tell them about this session so that everybody could be playing with confidence and therefore everyone could be having more fun. You're welcome. Sincerely, my pleasure. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for coming to this Let's Play live stream. And if you're watching the repost, thanks for watching my videos. Mods, thanks for monitoring the chat. Please share about the MAHJLIFE YouTube channel with your friends. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.